We'll start with the invocation. Towards the One, the perfection of love, harmony and beauty, the only being, united with all the illuminated souls who form the embodiment of the Master, the Spirit of guidance. Amen. Oh. Dive into a song today. This is a melody from Layla. It has a bunch of the zikr phrase, La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illallah, there's only the one, nothing but the one. I think I'm good, Michael, but thank you. And then Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim. And once we get started, they do work as counter melodies, so you could sing either part you want, anytime you want. La ilaha illallah, 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 Ya Ya Rahim, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illallah, La La ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, Ya Ya Rahim, La ilaha illallah, 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 Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, Ya Rahman, Ya Today we're focusing on the three objects of the Sufi movement that Murshid described as, we might today use the word objectives or purposes, but he called it objects of the Sufi movement. And because I've been having a little bit of a Sufi existential crisis. No, not really. That sounds very dramatic. It's not really that dramatic. They're like, wow, there's so much suffering in the world. And we know that. We know that in both big picture ways of war and catastrophes, and we also know it in the very personal, specific, intimate ways with illness and injury and death and all of the struggles of everyday life, our own everyday lives and the lives of the individual persons that we know and love and care about and cry for, cry with, cry about. And in my estimation, this is not everyone's estimation, this is mine, the Sufi path is a personal path. That there is community, there is friendship, there is guidance, there is shared practice and some shared values, and there is also a lot of emphasis on personal sovereignty and autonomy and the unique unfolding of each life purpose. And we emphasize repeatedly and emphatically the importance of respecting, acknowledging, supporting, blessing, tolerating each person's unique purpose, expression, authentic, essential nature. And then, because we're humans, we keep falling into these bullshit patterns of division and judgment and trying to impose our values and opinions on others. And I am well aware of the hypocrisy of me as a teacher and a facilitator saying, let's not do that. And how is it imposing a value to ask people not to do that? And I'm also aware that that's the function of a teacher, that that's the function of a facilitator, of a leader of whatever form, is to say, as a reminder, as an orientation, this is what we have agreed is our value system. And how can we live that authentically and honestly, and to overcome the hypocrisy of falling into the divisions and the self-righteousness, and how do we cultivate the tolerance, the kindness, the love, the compassion, the wisdom to avoid or scramble out of those traps. So, here we are, the objects of the Sufi movement as described by Piro Murshid Inayat Khan 108. I'm going to make up a number. I'll call it 108 years ago. Really, I'm making up that number. I'm not sure when he originally formulated these objects. That there are different published versions of them. There are slight adjustments in the language, but the essence of these three objects remains the same, and that were published in the Articles of Incorporation when he decided that there needed to be a formal organization to carry the Sufi message. They're in the little prayer booklets there if that's useful for you. Number 1, to realize and spread the knowledge of unity, the religion of love and wisdom, so that the bias of faiths and beliefs may of itself fall away, the human heart may overflow with love, and all hatred caused by distinctions and differences may be rooted out. That's the first one. Here it is again, but we're going to come back and dwell on them a little bit. But here it is again now that you know what to expect, sort of. To realize and spread the knowledge of unity, the religion of love and wisdom, so that the bias of faiths and beliefs may of itself fall away, the human heart may overflow with love, and all hatred caused by distinctions and differences may be rooted out. Number 2, to discover the light and power latent in man, the secret of all religion, the power of mysticism, and the essence of philosophy, without interfering with customs or beliefs. All that is number 2. Here it is again. To discover the light and power latent in man, the secret of all religion, the power of mysticism, and the essence of philosophy, without interfering with customs or beliefs. Number 3, here's the kicker. They're all kickers. Here's the number 3 kicker. To help to bring the world's two opposite poles, east and west, closer together by the interchange of thought and ideals, that the universal brotherhood may form of itself, and man may see with man beyond the narrow national and racial boundaries. Here it is again. To help to bring the world's two opposite poles, east and west, closer together by the interchange of thought and ideals, that the universal brotherhood may form of itself, and man may see with man beyond the narrow national and racial boundaries. That's all. That really is all. And that points to every possible function and reason and purpose for our Sufi family. That's everything. Why do we want to be a part of a Sufi path? This. What's a Sufi path about? This. What good does it do? This. What's the instruction? This. That's everything. The rest is commentary. And then we go, how? right? And then we have all of these other things that we do, all of the specific teachings, all of the specific practices, all of the ways that we are encouraged, invited, nudged to move ourselves in these directions, to move ourselves in these directions. Really, I wish that it would do so much good, that it would be really effective and useful to just sit around in a circle and cry together. Wouldn't that be great? Let's just spend the next hour and 40 minutes just crying together. No, that doesn't do anyone any good. So, really, Murshid said, if your friend is like sitting there crying, you don't just go and sit and cry with them. That you can't do anybody any good if you're meeting someone in their depression and despair. That does not do anyone any good, because now there are just two people in depression and despair. So there has to be one. He described it as being like that one person has fallen into a pit, and the second person has to stay at the top, at the surface, and throw a rope to the bottom. Not climb down there. Throw a rope down. And food if necessary. Yeah, thank you, Sophia. Okay, so going back to number one. So here's what I did. I just took these three objects and I broke them out and was like, what practices address that? What are the affirmations? What are the songs? What are the things that address these things, that help us awaken these values, these purposes within ourselves, so that we can really effectively embody and radiate these qualities into the world. That's how it works, right? In Sufism, there's no proselytizing. It's not that we go try to lasso people from the street corner, and it's not that we take out evangelical ad spots on television, and it's not that we're sending people whatever. Like, it's not a political campaign, and it's not something that we're trying to like pull people into. Rather, we are supposed to cultivate all of these qualities and these lived ideals within ourselves. That creates a magnetism. That creates an inner peace and love and generosity and tolerance, and that is contagious. So if we embody that really effectively, people are naturally drawn to that. We don't have to try to go get them. We go, here's a living example of someone who is really cultivating wisdom and tolerance and kindness and self-mastery. And other people will see that and go, I want to be like that. I'm going to be closer to that person because maybe it'll rub off on me. Because there's some positive, desirable influence in that personal magnetism. That's it. That's the whole thing. So the first one, to realize, that's the hardest part, and spread the knowledge of unity, the religion of love and wisdom. To realize and spread the knowledge of unity. See, the first part is we have to realize the knowledge of unity. That's the first part. You can't spread it if you don't know it. To realize the knowledge of unity. When we realize the knowledge of unity, it naturally spreads. Not through any particular force. Just through the beauty of our own realization. And if the knowledge is about unity, it's not about duality, it's not about polarity, it's not about separations and differences. Unity, which is the religion of love and wisdom. Is that all we need to know? Okay. I did bring a tasbih. I brought a bunch of tasbihs in case you want them. I'm gonna be witchy. So I have my tasbih of Marids with all y'all's names. And if I go through and put wazifa practices in each of them, then maybe I'm like impressing each of those beautiful names of God into each of you. You don't mind, do you? No. That's what you signed up for, right? Yeah. Okay. So we're going to start with Ya Rahman, because it is the foundation of love that is God, the all-pervading mercy, compassion, presence of God as love. We'll probably do, I don't know, 1,000 of them. I don't know how many we'll do. Maybe 33. Ya Rahman, 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 four more. Ya Rahman, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahman. Now from that place of love, we want to cultivate understanding. So we'll recite Ya Alim. That last one, I think we did 55 of them. I'm not entirely certain, but I think we did 55. That felt good to me. We're probably going to do that again. So Alim is knowledge itself, and so it is all of the possible ways that we can understand things with a clarity from the perspective of God. So that's where we want to dedicate our awareness and the activity of our own minds, our own intelligence, is towards and from and within Rahman. So we'll say Ya Alim probably 55 times. Let's see. Ya Alim, 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 two more. Ya Alim, Ya Alim. And intelligence and knowledge is not the same thing as wisdom. And so there are different beautiful names of God that are more about wisdom. And the way that Murshid describes wisdom is that it's a combination of what we experience in our humanness, in our intelligence, in the information that we have gathered in our life, in our world, in our capacity, our evidence and collection of facts and figures. That's Alim. And there is also the deep abiding knowing that is available to all of us, that you could call a spirit of guidance, you could call it intuition, but most of you know that I'm pretty skeptical and poo-pooing about what most people refer to as intuition, because usually what I think we refer to as intuition is just what we want cleverly disguised. And so intuition, as it contributes to a field of wisdom, is about our ability to perceive things from a God perspective, which absolutely is separate from our conditioning, our preferences, and our ego motives. Those things, our conditioning, our preferences, and our ego motives, distract us and confuse us away from the voice of God. So wisdom is the integration of our intelligence and the voice of God. It is available to us, but we have to work hard to clear out all of the tangle of the nafs to get it. So Hakam is wisdom, and it's tied to a sense of justice, but not from our human perspective, because our human perspective of justice is tied to the values of our own society, of our own family upbringing, of our personal pains and longings. And so justice is really free from all of those limited perspectives. So Hakam is going into the wisdom and the justice perspective of God. Ya Hakam, 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 Ya Hakam. Four more. Ya Hakam, Ya Hakam, Ya Hakam, Ya Hakam. One more. the name of God as the inclusive one that is really unity. That is ahad. That is the form of one that steps out of and yet encompasses all of the aspects of existence, but is not tied to any specific forms. And as we were reciting Hakam, and some of you added more of an aspirated ch or a ch in the middle of it, and which reminded me of its relationship with Chokhmah, which is holy wisdom in Hebrew. That is a feminine form of God as the wisdom of life itself and nature. And as we're about to recite Ya Ahad as the one, the all one, which is also tied to the Hebrew form Echad, that is one, that is a reference for God as the all-inclusive one. And if you feel inclined to bop between the Arabic and the Hebrew forms, you're very welcome to, and that would be a welcome medicine. Ya Ahad, Ya Ahad, Ya Ahad, Ya Ahad, Ya Ahad. Ya Ahad, 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 Ya three more, Ya Ahad, Ya Ahad, Ya Ahad. We'll do a little chant of Murshid's morning affirmation. May the message of God spread far and wide. And he said to recite it 11 times. And I think that I started singing this with 11 recitations. You're welcome to try to count it if you want to. But the last of the 11 is sustained a little longer. Maybe we'll go through it twice, but we'll see. May the message of God spread far and wide. May the message of God spread far and wide. May the message of God spread far and wide. May the message of God spread far and wide. May the message of God spread far and wide. May the message of God spread far and wide. May the and wide may the message of God spread far and wide. May the message of God spread far and wide. May the message of God spread far and wide. May the message of God spread far and wide. May the message of God spread far and wide. May the message of God spread far and wide. May the message of God spread far and wide. May the message of God spread far and wide. May the message of God spread far and wide. May the message of God spread far and wide. That the bias of faiths and beliefs may of itself fall away. That the bias of faiths and beliefs may of itself fall away. See, that's the natural result of realizing and spreading the knowledge of unity. The religion of love and wisdom. Then the biases fall away. I think that sounds pretty good. And I also, I've described recently to some of you all that the older see, it's not sweepingly true. In my experience, the older I get, the less I believe my own thoughts and feelings about things, and the less confident and clear and attached I am to my own sense of rightness. And I often think about that, like my teenage self would be so disappointed in me. And I think that's a good aspiration. That if, you know, how many of us in our adult perspectives really enjoy the self-righteousness of teenagers? Like, not so much, right? We're like, yeah, we hope you keep that authoritative know-it-all attitude, and like, no. So I am now aspiring to disappoint my teenage self. And I was tempted to say, like, the older we get, the less attached we are to what we know or think we know. But that's not true. I know a lot of older people who are more and more ferociously attached to their righteousness, or to the rightness and the concretized opinions and beliefs and thoughts and feelings and values. So that doesn't happen by itself. That's not something that naturally becomes like the wisdom field of age. No. That if we want that to be true within ourselves, if we want to be less attached to our teenage self-righteousness, then we have to work toward that. We have to establish that as a value system and an orientation to overcome the biases of faiths and beliefs that are so strong, and that we are trained, we are well conditioned to believe that those things are good, that we're supposed to be ferociously attached to our biases. So let's visit the Zikr of the Two Niles. We come back to this one a lot because it's so simple and so powerful, and I would like to think that it's really effective because it's simple and powerful, but the further I go, the less convinced I am about how effective these things are. And I'm like, well, it's a good idea. I do believe it's a good idea, and that the value system woven into the Sufi path of overcoming the self, of actually dissolving our attachment and identifications to the nafs, and orienting ourselves more toward the all-pervading God reality, I believe that's a good thing to do. And I don't think we can force it, so the best we can do is to orient toward it and to try to develop those impressions, those thoughts, those feelings, that experience as much as we can. So in this way, we have this part of the Zikr of the Two Niles has 3 repetitions of the La ilaha, and then 1 repetition of the illallah. So 3 times of La ilaha, La ilaha, La ilaha, and 1 illallah. And it goes to the right, which is not the direction of the heart. The right direction is symbolically moving away from God. That is the negation side, is to the right, which also, not coincidentally, is the side that is the righteousness and the self-attachment and the personal power side. So we're going, that's not it, that's not it, that's not it. And then we do the affirmation to the left, into the heart, into the receptive side, into the part that is attuned to welcoming, resting in God presence. Allah. Okay, I don't know how many times we'll do this one, but we're going for it. La ilaha, la ilaha, la ilaha, illallah, 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 la ilaha, la ilaha la, ilaha illallah la, ilaha la, 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 ilaha la, ilaha illallah. One more time. Allah, ilaha la, ilaha la, ilaha illallah. That the human heart may overflow with love. For whatever brilliant reason, for this one, my mind bopped over to Reb Zalman and a time that he came to hang out with our Sufi tribe in Boulder, and he led a practice that was based on there were 3 Hebrew names for it also that he didn't talk about, but he said here's the equivalent in the Arabic, that are these 3 beautiful names of God, that he was very intentional about putting Ya Rahim first, which is a little bit ironic. It's not ironic. It's not typical, a little atypical. And because he talked about the need to emphasize Rahim. He talked about the qualities when we think about Rahman and Rahim. There's a way that we associate them with Rahman being the dynamic masculine entity and Rahim being the receptive feminine entity or the responsive feminine entity. And he felt that we needed more Rahim in the world. And so starting with Ya Rahim and then Ya Rahman. So first we have the awakening of the heart with mercy and compassion and love. And then we can get lost in the ocean of it. Then we can get dissolved into the all-pervadingness of it. But we need to feel the responsiveness of it first. We need to really amplify and strengthen that quality within us and in the world. And then those 2, starting with Ya Rahim, then Ya Rahman, goes to Dhul Jalali wal Ikram. That is the absolute overwhelm of the majesty, the magnificence, and the generosity of God in creation. So we'll do these as a triplet, starting with Ya Rahim, and then Ya Rahman, and then 2 rocks or bows directly into the heart for Dhul Jalali wal Ikram. That is the power and the generosity. Any questions about any of that? Yeah. Ya Rahim, we're good with that? Ya Rahman. Dhul Jalali wal Ikram. Wal Ikram. So Dhul is the part that is saying that we are in absolute awe and wonderment, that we are completely surrendered in our beholding of creation and God's presence.
Is it
Dhul? It's spelled with a D-H, U-L, but the DH makes a the, kind of like a TH, a soft TH sound in English. Dhul. Jalali is, Jalal is the present, the power and strength of God. Wal is and the, wal, Ikram. And Ikram is a form of Karim, that is the flowing forth of blessings, that is God's constant graciousness. Okay. Dhul Jalali wal Ikram. 2 more times, then we'll start our triplet. Dhul Jalali wal Ikram. Dhul Jalali wal Ikram. Good. So I'm going to rock to the left for Ya Rahim, and then to the right for Ya Rahman, and then directly into the heart twice. Dhul Jalali wal Ikram. Ya Rahim, Ya Rahman, 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 Dhul Jalali wal. One more time. Ya Rahim, Ya Rahman, Dhul Jalali wal Ikram. That the hatred caused by distinctions and differences may be rooted out. I was drawn for this one to the line from the Quran, from the second surah, that is Surah Al-Baqarah, that is one little piece of it that Sadi put to music, and it's a little bit adjusted from the form as it shows up in the actual surah, and that is translated to, in the surah it is, and your God and the only God that is are one. And God's nature is mercy and compassion. Which is wa ilahukum wa ilahuna. That is your God and the only God. Wahidun, the one, our one. And for the melody that Sadi put together, it's flipped around a little bit, so it's saying more like, and our God and your God are the same thing. And then I think it's super excellent that that's in the Quran. That there are all kinds of things in all of the scriptures that are self-celebratory. I don't know if that's the right word for it, but and there are plenty of things we can find in any of the scriptures that are saying this is the right way, this is the right way, this is the right way, and we in our humanness tend to go, well, that means that every other way is the wrong way. And one of the beautiful things about in my understanding, I should be very clear about that, in my understanding, and in Murshid's understanding, the Quran and the message of the Prophet Muhammad were about unifying all of the contradictory elements that had shown up in humanity up to that point. That there are acknowledgments and respect and validation given to prophets of the past, and that are woven into the Quran. And somehow we lose sight of those things and tend to focus on the things that enable us to be self-righteous and divisive and superior in our humanness. I hope to never understand those things. Okay. That was the first object. How are you doing?
Where are we on time? How long did that take?
It's 4 o'clock. It's 4:04. To realize and spread the knowledge of unity, the religion of love and wisdom, so that the bias of faiths and beliefs may of itself fall away, the human heart may overflow with love, and all hatred caused by distinctions and differences may be rooted out. Second. Ready? Ready? Yeah.
What comes to mind with that last line about being rooted out? I think of it as being constantly active. I think about bindweed, and how you pull out bindweed and it grows back, and you pull it out again and it grows back. And it's not something you can do once. It has to be, you have to keep doing it. It's very active.
There's another metaphor that goes with that, is that if you mulch and you keep the dirt moist, the fungus eats it up. That's the way it's rooted.
Gotcha.
So, are either of those metaphors your experience with this?
Mm-hmm.
Like when you think about or feel into your own experience of having your acquired biases and distractions and divisive thoughts, feelings, beliefs along the way? Do you have an experience of cultivating and realizing unity and how that naturally dissolves the biases? It says that they fall away of themselves. And when they fall away, the hatred is rooted out. And the focus isn't about like how much extra determined effort you have to put toward rooting out the hatred. The emphasis is on realizing the knowledge of unity, the religion of love and wisdom. I don't think we have to work so hard to root out hatred. What he's describing is that happens by itself when we point our hearts in the right direction.
It's not always an easy thing.
No.
Yeah, that's why I think it's just like that focus. It's a focus that's hard to do all the time. And even when I think that I've done that I've overcome something, that I'm moving in the right direction, and it's like, oh man, what did I just say about that person? Or what did I just do? Who did I just scream at in traffic? You know, it's ever going on for me anyway.
May I?
Yeah.
What's coming to mind very strongly is something that Yeshua said. He said, you've heard it said to love your neighbor, but I say love your enemies. And I put that in quotes because when we start listening, and listening is truly the key to set aside our prejudices, even if just for a moment, and hear what another person is saying, that goes a long way toward rooting out that hatred.
Nicely stated, Yochanan. Thank you. Next. The next ones are easy. Don't worry. They'll go fast.
That's like I'll fit into the remaining hour.
To discover 50 minutes. To discover the light and power latent in man, the secret of all religion.
Say that again.
To discover the light and power latent in man, the secret of all religion. That's the first part of it. Have you discovered the light and power that has been resting dormant within you? Want to say more about that?
Well, it's just not a constant thing. Sometimes I can tap into it, sometimes I can feel that, and then it goes away.
Or you go away.
Or I go away. I don't know. Or I forget.
Right.
I do not always feel its presence, but more and more I see its effects.
Nice.
Yeah. One of the reasons I was late today was because I struck up a conversation with a stranger in the gypsy house, and we discovered that, well, she has a passion for dance. She teaches salsa, and so we were talking about shared experiences with dance and music. I did mention this event. Because
You're good at that, Yochanan.
Yeah.
All right. Discovering the light and power latent in man. So really, there's like this fundamental beginning place that there is this light and power in every human being that is generally unrealized, generally not discovered, generally not tapped into. Is that the phrase you used?
Probably.
Sometimes you tap into it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But it's there. And so there's this basic understanding that we know that that's there. The light and power is present and available and needs to be discovered. You could say, instead of discovered, you could say uncovered. Right? All right. So we visited this melody for our noon Zoom today, and we're going to come back to it again because I think that it is useful. That has Yanur, that is the invoking of the divine light. And in this particular practice, there's 7 recitations of Yanur because they emphasize and draw our attention to the light within each of the lataif of the energy centers in the body and the physical being. So you don't have to think about it in this way, but it goes from the lowest ones up through them, and if it helps you to know where they are, there's an ambulance. Hold on a second. Sorry, I tried to save you from the loudest part of the ambulance. All right, so it goes from the first one is at the base of the spine that goes just underneath the physical body. Like if you're seated, it goes just underneath your physical body and extends out and down into the earth. Or if you're standing, that's fine too. But it still goes from the base of the spine, not the soles of the feet. So I know you do. And then the second one is just below the belly button. But it's in the center of the body, right? It's not on the surface of the belly. It's in the center of the body. And then there are the 3 that go across the heart, from the left heart to the right heart to the center heart, and then to the third eye, and then to the crown that starts just a couple inches above the skull, the top of your head, and extend out and upward. So it goes through Yanur 7 times, and I think about placing them into those energy centers, and you can do that if you want. And then there's a second line that is Yanur Ya Alim. We visited Alim already a little bit earlier. That is the knowledge, that is putting light in our awareness, in our intelligence, in the activity of our own mind. And then the third word, beautiful name of God in here, is Munawar. That is, it has Nur hidden in it, and it is the physical, tangible experience of that Mu at the beginning of it. So Munawar is really embodying, integrating, and working with that light through our incarnate existence. Okay? I think we'll leave it there. Ya Nur, 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 Ya Nur. ambulance. The power of mysticism, the essence of philosophy. Power of mysticism. You know what that means?
Well, the root word of mystic is can be mysterium, which is something hidden. Perhaps hidden to be revealed.
Anyone else? What's the power of mysticism? Like, we're in here all the time. We like splash around in these objects and Murshid's teachings all the time. And we're like, I don't have any idea what that means. Power of mysticism.
Well, I started reading the book for the book club, and it talks about the mystics were the ones who believed in love. That was their main message, was that of love. I don't know.
Okay. So what's the power of mysticism?
Power of love.
Oh.
It's the power of personal experience.
Say again?
The power of personal experience.
I wish I had brought gold star stickers for you. Is they here? Oh wait, you are the gold star sticker. Never mind. Everything that we see about mysticism and what mysticism is that it is direct experience. It is your own felt experience that is not about what you learn or what you think or what you're told or what someone else says or what you believe, or it is your direct experience. Direct experience of what? Direct experience of what?
Reality?
Reality. Life. The divine.
And that's the light and power latent in
Well, it's when you discover it, then you also experience. Like, that is how you get to this power presence of mysticism, the direct experience of your own true nature, of your God reality. And the essence of philosophy. You want to tell us about philosophy, Yochanan?
The pursuit of wisdom.
Worse than that.
Knowledge.
No.
Knowledge is
I wouldn't say the pursuit. This root, P-H-I-L, is love.
The love.
It's not pursuit, it's love.
Why do you say worse than that?
I was joking.
Yes.
We approach philosophy as a pursuit, but philosophy is the love of wisdom. It's the love of wisdom. Yeah?
What did you say?
Sophie.
Same. Yeah. So then we come back to what I was trying to describe with way too many words about how wisdom is defined and described by Murshid. That is the integration of all of our lived experience, all of our thoughts, the collection of all of our knowledge and our intellect, along with the attention to and the constant expression of the spirit of guidance. The love of wisdom. And all of those things are tied together in this thought, to discover the light and power latent in man, the secret of all religion, the power of mysticism, the essence of philosophy, without interfering with customs or beliefs. Without trying to tell anyone anything different from what they are doing and what they believe and how they are guiding and shaping their own life experience. Without interfering with customs or beliefs. Is it tedious that we just keep coming back to just getting our little selves out of the way?
It feels necessary.
Yeah. It is. Here's a little passage from the Religious Gothikas, that is a set of papers from Murshid. The man who does not express his love, who does not forget himself in love, expressing it as a respect, tolerance, forgiveness, does not know religion. Here's that sentence again before I read the other sentence. The man who does not express his love, who does not forget himself in love, expressing it as respect, tolerance, forgiveness, does not know religion. I could put it in a positive form and say, in order to know religion, one must express one's love and forget oneself in love, expressing love as respect, tolerance, and forgiveness. Next sentence. Of course, this is the first step. That one loves those one meets on the surface of the earth. Here it is again. The man who does not express his love, who does not forget himself in love, expressing it as a respect, tolerance, forgiveness, does not know religion. Of course, this is the first step, that one loves those one meets on the surface of the earth.
Love those who are on the surface of the earth. Only on the surface of the earth.
Are there others? Ones that are buried underneath? One that have taken up residence on Mars?
Dimensions and all of the other different dimensions and what happens if you're in space.
But didn't Murshid just say that that was the first step?
Start out by loving the people you meet on the surface of the earth and go from there.
And then the reptilian aliens underneath Stapleton.
Mm-hmm.
That's number 2.
All right, that was the second object. You okay? It's 4:30. 4:32. Third, to help to bring the world's two opposite poles, he said east and west, closer together by the interchange of thoughts and ideals. And I think it's pretty obvious that you could insert any aspects of polarity in there. That he said east and west, and in his context, in his moment, that's what felt important. But you can put this as any two sides of any faction of humanity. Be like, that's what he means. To bring whatever two poles you can identify closer together by the interchange of thought and ideals. The interchange of thought and ideals, sharing thoughts and values, guiding principles, sharing them, not imposing them, not enforcing them. Okay. So here's the affirmation. From one of Murshid's beautiful prayers. Send us the peace of thy divine spirit, and unite us all in thy perfect being. Let's just recite it a whole lot. Send us the peace of thy divine spirit, and unite us all in thy perfect being. Send us the peace of thy divine spirit, and unite us all in thy perfect being. Send us the peace of thy divine spirit, and unite us all in thy perfect being. Send us the peace of thy divine spirit, and unite us all in thy perfect being. Send us the peace of thy divine spirit, and unite us all in thy perfect being. Send us the peace of thy divine spirit, and unite us all in thy perfect being. Send us the peace of thy divine spirit, and unite us all in thy perfect being. Send us the peace of thy divine spirit, and unite us all in thy perfect being. Send us the peace of thy divine spirit, and unite us all in thy perfect being. Send us the peace of thy divine spirit, and unite us all in thy perfect being. Send us the peace of thy divine spirit, and unite us all in thy perfect being. Send us the peace of thy divine spirit, and unite us all in thy perfect being. Send us the peace of thy divine spirit, and unite us all in thy perfect being. Send us the peace of thy divine spirit, and unite us all in thy perfect being. Send us the peace of thy divine spirit, and unite us all in thy perfect being. Once more. Send us the peace of thy divine spirit, and unite us all in thy perfect being. That the universal brotherhood may form of itself. Man may see with man beyond narrow national and racial boundaries. that the universal brotherhood may form of itself. Man may see with man beyond narrow national and racial boundaries. Do all of you get the bowl of sake?
Apparently. What is it?
There's a daily passage from Murshid that is emailed out. He actually did put it in a, like, here's 365 thoughts for the day. And Wahiduddin, Richard Shellquist, who lives in Longmont still, has this amazing website with tons of Murshid resources and manages this email list that is a daily email that shows up. And there are a few different versions of it. The one that I get, that I like the best, has the one line from Murshid along with a photograph of Murshid. I always love that. And then there's some commentary from some of the message volumes that are from Murshid. Those are the ones that I like. And it's not Murshid's commentary. He didn't say, "Oh, about that thought, here's more that I have to say," but that Wahiduddin went through and just pulled passages from other texts and talks that Murshid gave and said, "Here are some other things about that theme that Murshid offered." So, wow, that's really pretty good. So today's showed up, and I was like, oh, that fits so beautifully with our theme for today. So I brought it for you. The thought for today, bowl of sake, October 21st, is: beyond the narrow barriers of race and creed, we can all unite because we all belong to one God. Here it is again. Beyond the narrow barriers of race and creed, we can all unite because we all belong to one God. And then the commentary that Wahiduddin pulled is from, I don't know if he actually said it on here, but I had to go find it, from volume 14 of the message volumes, which is kind of an afterthought, not really, but that is The Smiling Forehead, volume 14. And this is from the section on the dance of the soul. The soul is the Spirit of God, and the Spirit of God lives within the shrine of the heart. This shrine can be closed, or it can open. There are some things in life that open it, and some that close it. The things that close the heart are those which are contrary to love. Tolerance and forgiveness. The contrary to love, tolerance and forgiveness. Such as coldness, bitterness, and ill will, and a strong element of duality. The world is more upset today than ever before. In many ways, man seems to go from bad to worse. And yet, he thinks that he is progressing. It is not lack of organization or of civilization. Both these things he has. What he lacks is the expression of the soul. He closes his door to his fellow man. He closes the shrine of the heart, and by doing so, he is keeping God away from himself and others. Nation is set against nation, race against race, religion against religion. Therefore, today, more than ever before, there is a need for the realization of this philosophy. What we need is not that all religions should become one, nor all races. That can never be. But what is needed is undivided progress and making ourselves examples of love and tolerance. By talking about it, by discussing and arguing, it will not come. But by self-realization, by making ourselves the examples of what should be, by giving love, taking love, and showing in our action gentleness, consideration, and the desire for service for the sake of God, in whom we can all unite beyond the narrow barriers of race and creed. That's all.
Sounds like more than enough.
Yeah. And why are we so bad at it? We're so bad at it. I don't mean you. I don't mean the people sitting in this circle right now.
We, the human race.
We, the human race. We're so bad at it. It's so discouraging. Sometimes discouraging. Sometimes just kind of baffling. Wow. Yep. And then I wonder, like, how well am I doing in my own life? That's the question for all of us. I mean, for me, it's my question for me, but I hope that it's a question for all of you as well. How well am I doing in my own life of really respecting other people's opinions, values, choices, other people's ways of seeing the world, other people's ways of raising their own children, earning money, pursuing interests, worshiping God? And in what ways do we fall into judgment and criticism and thinking we know better? I brought you the prayer for peace of the world. This is the original version. I'm going to put it in the chat window for you, Michael. This is the way Murshid gave it. And, well, we in our contemporary humanness like to argue with the language that Murshid used. Like, why did he say king? Why did he say Lord? Because that's the context he's working in. Because that's the framework and the community that he was addressing at the time. And while I was deciding that we're going to use this prayer today in this form, I'm like, sometimes this is the right language. We say, King of Men. And we can go like the responsible entity of all human beings. That's fine. And we can go, well, there's a quality of the aspect of God that we are appealing to, and king is a really good placeholder right there. Like, what is the quality and expression and the essential presence of God that can really be this force of stability, of strength, of authority, of overseeing and holding, protecting? And also, when we have so many acute examples of physical violence in the world, and I know that women are capable of being violent, and I know that the images that I'm seeing and the video footage that I'm seeing is a bunch of men running around with guns. So maybe there's something that can be really useful and effective if we aren't trying to soften the language and associations of God presence, and also not trying to soften and this isn't about diversifying the language of the prayers. It's about attuning to the forms of prayers that have been given with an inspiration that I believe that Murshid was a realized being. You don't need to believe that. I'm not attached to you having that assessment of him. But I feel convinced in myself that Murshid was a realized being, and that the prayers that he offered came from a higher source. And I don't mean that as like divine revelation, that's going to be codified in scripture like the Quran or the Bible or something, but I do mean that there is a value and a living essence of the prayers that he offered in the form that he gave that is worth preserving and worth attuning to and inviting in the form that he gave. So here's the form that he gave for the prayer for the peace of the world. Oh, hello, friend.
I wondered what that was.
It's a little critter. We'll let it stay.
Yeah.
You're going to be safe, right? You're nonviolent, right? Yeah. O thou, the Almighty Sun, whose light cleareth away all clouds, we take refuge in thee, King of men, God of all deities, Lord of all angels. We pray thee, dispel the mists of illusion from the hearts of the nations, and lift their lives by thy all-sufficient power. Pour upon them thy limitless love, thy everlasting life, thy heavenly joy, and thy perfect peace. And I'll ask you to indulge me to, I would like to say it again, and I would like for you just to breathe it in silence. And maybe after I say it, anyone else who wants to say it, either alone or as a group, you can, but not needing to put our attention toward like trying to sync up with people or make sure that we pronounce things in the right way with other people, like that can be a distraction. So I invite you to just breathe it and let it be a prayer that you can invite and feel without needing to effort towards it. O thou, the Almighty Sun, whose light cleareth away all clouds, we take refuge in thee, King of men, God of all deities, Lord of all angels, we pray thee, dispel the mists of illusion from the hearts of the nations, and lift their lives by thy all-sufficient power. Pour upon them thy limitless love, thy everlasting life, thy heavenly joy, and thy perfect peace. Amen.
God, clear like a sun, whose light cleareth away all clouds. We take refuge in thee, King of men, God of all deities, Lord of all angels. We pray thee, dispel the mists of illusion from the hearts of the nations, and lift their lives by thy sufficient power. Pour upon them thy limitless love, thy everlasting life, thy joy, and thy perfect peace.
If anyone else wants to say it, you're welcome to. Amen.
Amen.
Amen.